shocked at anything, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the Undercurrent, your source for grassroots news. I'm Lauren Windsor. On Black Friday this year, thousands of people around the country protested the unfair labor practices of the nation's largest retailer, Wal-Mart. One of the major rallies occurred right here in Southern California.
We cannot let the associates in the store work in the conditions where they're intimidated and threatened. You know, Walmart will tell them there's 100 people out there that want your job. So if you don't do the job, whether you're injured or not, then we'll find somebody else to do it. They came and told African-American leaders in the community that they pay their associates $13 an hour. We got people here that have been working for 20 years that don't make $13 an hour. We have department managers that don't make $10 an hour. Walmart is lying. This man is loyal to Walmart. He does a good job for Walmart. But because he speaks out against their unfair labor practices, they want to get rid of him. We can't let that happen. Let's bring Carlton back to the podium. Let's give him a big hand.
The reason we are here is because of the unfair labor practice that we face for speaking up.
Walmart, you're no good!
Treat your workers like you should!
Walmart, you're no good!
Treat your workers like you should!
Gentlemen, please move off the street and off the sidewalk. Thank you very much. You can assist us, please, by having them out of the street and on the sidewalk. Thank you.
Walmart says go away! We say no way! Walmart says go away! We say no way!
I spoke with striking employee Carlton Smith after the rally. Can you tell us why you are here today?
I'm here on strike because Walmart has been retaliating against associates who are standing up and speaking out. And we're basically asking for the respect that we're due, fair working conditions, affordable health care. We're also asking that no one be retaliated against for standing up for the people that don't have the courage to stand up for themselves.
Can you tell us about our Walmart? Is this a union?
No, it's not. It's an association comprised of associates all over the United States coming together to make change at Walmart.
And so is this an effort to unionize?
No, it is an effort for the associates to come together to show Walmart that we want to stand up for the things that we deserve, which is respect, fair wages, affordable health care, and hours not being cut.
How long have you worked at this Walmart?
16 years.
So the very same store for 16 years.
That is correct.
And despite all the things you've been through with unfair labor practices, being written up, retaliated against, you still want to make it a better place.
Absolutely. My grandkids might have to work for this company one day.
I tried to interview Walmart public relations staff on site and was given the official video response from the Chief Merchandising and Marketing Officer, Duncan MacNaughton. Note that the entirety of the time he's talking about sales figures for Black Friday rather than striking workers and their issues with his company's compensation.
We had the best Black Friday ever at Walmart. We had over 22 million customers in our store between 8 o'clock and on midnight last night. Our associates, 1.3 million associates, took great care of our customers, and we had 3 events. Started at 8 o'clock, so we saw baskets with trampolines in them, televisions, Princess Barbie sets, the sheet sets, Rubbermaid containers, all sorts of toys all over the store. It was absolutely fabulous. Since we began the event at 8 o'clock, we sold 1.8 million towels, 1.3 million televisions, $1.3 million for all the girls across America, and 250,000 bicycles. When 10 o'clock came, the queue lines worked, the customers were satisfied, and we still had that buzz throughout the whole store past midnight. You know, I was really excited about not only the great sales, but we had a very safe and a very successful Black Friday across all our stores across the United States. Our associates did a great job. Our customers gave us great feedback on the shopping experience that they had. We estimate that less than 50 Walmart associates were involved in the protests across the United States, and in many of those locations, no Walmart associates took place. We had roughly the same number of call-ins than we had last year for people that didn't come to work. Customers were excited, associates were excited. It is the Super Bowl of retail, and we saw it play out, all thanks to our associates.
The PR manager did say she'd be willing to let me interview employees that were, quote, happy to work there. After about 15 minutes of waiting, she returned with no one. Policy analyst Ruetschlin of the progressive think tank Demos recently authored a report entitled Retail's Hidden Potential. She sat down to speak with me about her findings.
The performance of the retail sector is so deeply integrated into the performance of the economy overall. It brings in more than $4 trillion in sales. It employs more than 15 million workers. It's big and it's growing. Over the next 10 years, it's projected to be the highest output growth of all sectors in the country and the second highest employment growth of all sectors in the country. That means that the retail sector has feedback effects in the U.S. economy in terms of growth, in terms of employment, and in terms of living standards. So we looked at those aspects of the American economy when it comes to retail wages. And we found that if the largest retailers in the country, those employing 1,000 workers or more, were to raise their wages to a standard equivalent to $25,000 a year for full-time year-round work, they could lift households out of poverty. They could stimulate economic growth between $11 and $15 billion in the first year following the raise. They could generate 100 to 132,000 jobs in the economy over the first year, and it would be a very small price for the American consumer and for the companies themselves.
Kind of like Ford's philosophy of paying his workers a decent wage so that they could in turn be consumers buying his automobiles.
It's similar to that story, except it works through the multiplier effect, and so it generates broad effects across all sectors in the economy. When low-wage workers get a raise, they can move up their standard of living from living on the very edge of meeting their basic needs to being able to attain those goods that they want and need in the market. That means they're going to go out and spend every extra dollar that enters their paycheck. That dollar becomes someone else's income when they spend it, and it keeps cycling around, amplifying the effects of the raise.
And so the assumptions, the multiplier that you used was based on a common multiplier, the one used by the chief economist at Moody's, Mark Zandi?
Yeah, the multiplier effect that we used combined a variety of multipliers that show what happens when low-wage workers get a tax benefit, or in this case, a wage benefit, combined with what happens when corporations see an increase in their production costs. That means that our multiplier effects for both, accounts for both the beneficial effects on the side of the workers and the detrimental effects that could possibly arise to the firm. The numbers that we used to feed into this formula came from Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi, who testifies before the U.S. Congress to talk about what kind of effects the stimulus package could have in terms of employment growth and GDP. So these are commonly accepted, widely known multiplier effects. And we just applied them to a wage raise, which has essentially the same effect as a stimulus, but from the private sector as opposed to publicly funded.
But in your assumptions, though, don't you assume that the consumer is not taking that increased wage and paying off debt with it or saving it? Like, you're not taking into account the savings.
Absolutely, you're right about this. And the reason that we made that assumption is because we're only talking about workers on the very, very bottom of the income distribution. We're talking about people who make, on average, about $9.50 an hour. This would represent a 27% pay raise, a huge boost in their standard of living, as opposed to, for example, the 2001 tax cuts, which went to largely higher income households who turned that money around and put it in to paying off debt or into their retirement savings, which had much smaller effect on the economy.
What is your feeling about the Black Friday Walmart strikes happening in concurrence with the release of this publication?
Well, you know, it's really difficult to talk about the retail sector without talking about Walmart. And it's really difficult to talk about the labor market at all without talking about Walmart. It's, in fact, the largest employer in the United States with 1.4 million people working for it. So what happens at Walmart really does affect the rest of the population. The Walmart workers are asking for a lot more than a wage raise. The group that coordinated the strikes is called Our Walmart. Their basic messages is they're asking for respect on the job. Wages are just a small part of that, but that's the part of it that we numerically evaluate.
With the cost pass-through, within your analysis, you analyzed what the effect would be if the company itself took on the majority of the cost of the wage increase, or if consumers did, so if it completely passed through into the price of the good or service. And you found that it would cost on average 15 cents per visit?
15 cents per trip to the store. And this productivity argument that I was making suggests that a firm won't have to pass through really any the cost on consumers. They can afford it out of profits, or they'll generate returns without charging more. But if they did, it would be a fairly negligible expense to shoppers. The 15 cents added to the cost of a shopping basket every trip to the store for the average household comes out to under $18 per year.
It's a red herring from company CEOs to say, oh, well, the costs are going to go up on everything, and it's really a negligible overall rise. I mean, I would certainly spend $20 extra a year on my shopping trips in order to see that people were getting fairly compensated.
A lot of consumers really want to believe that the places that they spend their money are a value not just to them, but to their community and to the economy and to the society that they live in. And when you it will cost you 15 cents to know that the person who's assisting you, the person that's giving you advice on the product that you're about to buy, the person who's ringing you up and helping you take your groceries to the car, that this person is earning a fair wage and isn't raising their children in poverty.
Obviously, if Walmart adopted this practice, you know, it would be a huge tidal shift for retail workers across the country.
If Walmart raised wages for its workers, then raises would conceivably rise across the retail sector. Right now, studies show that Walmart moves into a community, opens a store, and pays lower wages than the average wage that existed there before they arrived. And that actually has a depressing effect on wages among retail workers around the rest of the community. So if they decided to take the opposite tactic, it would rise up the entire community.
More shocked than anything, you know what I'm saying?
Bottom line, half of Walmart's 1 million hourly employees in America make less than $10 an hour. At that protest in Paramount that you saw earlier in this episode, organizers said that there are managers that make less than $10 an hour. That's atrocious. How can you be a managerial employee and make less than $10 an hour? CEO Mike Duke made nearly $17,000 in 2010, which amounts to $35 million in annual compensation. Welcome to the new corporate feudalism, AKA American capitalism. At least in the old system, there was noblesse oblige, this idea that with great wealth comes great responsibility. Under the new system, with globalization, there's this feeling of isolation and rugged individualism that we have no responsibility for civic duty and community. As we compete in a race to the bottom in terms of wages with China and third world countries, only expect for this trend to get worse. There's a rising economic tsunami. It's coming for the middle class. It's coming for the American dream. Surf's up.
Inside the book of Revelation,
Bottom line.
demons came from heavenly places, and it makes me wonder if I'm under some sort of spiritual matrix with the truth pulled over my eyes with the evil forces that compromise my state of mind. Have I been hypnotized to believe
It's
in
some
lies?
bullshit.
God like Habakkuk.